My dad came here as a merchant marine. He was drafted to go to the Vietnam War because my grandfather was actually a U.S. citizen. He didn't know.
StoryCorps is a very simple idea. Regular people have the chance to interview each other, talk to each other about their lives, recognize how much their lives matter. And we believe that that conversation can make a real difference in people's lives. At the end of 40 minutes, 2 CDs have been burned. One goes home with you, the other stays with us and goes to the Library of Congress. There are 2 sides to StoryCorps. One is access to the StoryCorps experience, and the other is access to the content, these stories that we produce. I used to be a documentary producer, so it's kind of my core competency doing these programs. We play excerpts on public radio, and we do animations and books and so forth. And what we hope is that when people experience these authentic stories, just for a moment, they're going to be walking in the footsteps of someone who they may have thought was very different than them.
Did I turn out to be the son you wanted when I was born? Like, did I meet your expectations?
You've exceeded my expectations, sweetie. I really had to learn to think out of the box with you. And it's made me much more creative as a parent and as a person. And I'll always...
The great oral historian Studs Terkel cut the ribbon on our first booth 9.5 years ago. And he was a great proponent of bottom-up history through the voices of regular people.
My father was everything to me. I can remember when we integrated the schools that there were many times when I was just scared. And whenever I saw him, I knew that I was safe.
I've been listening to these stories every day for 9 years now, and it's still really compelling. As a people, I think it's been a really crazy decade. And through it all, StoryCorps has been offering people the opportunity to really say how they feel, say what their life means to them, what being American means in their own words.
We've recorded close to 50,000 stories with about 100,000 people across the country in all 50 states. Big towns, little towns, Native American reservations, prisons, Boston, Chicago, LA, the smallest towns you can find. And it's such an honor to be out celebrating these stories. They're important enough to be part of American history.
It's about 9:30 a.m. when he called. And he told me he was on the 105th floor and he'd been trying to find a way out. I asked if it hurt for him to breathe, and he paused for a moment and then said no. He loved me enough to lie.
I think it holds together better with the Luke story than with the grandfather story.
I do too. So many people here have spent the last 9 years building StoryCorps. We're about 100 people now, grown from 4 when we started. And I think this MacArthur Award is just absolutely huge. What this grant does is begin to give us a foundation to leap off into the future and to have the impact that we must have, that we know we can have, and that I think it's much more likely we will have now that we have this grant.
Where did you go to college?
I went to college at UC Santa Barbara.
Okay.
So it was Central Coast.